Then at about $600 or $650 an ounce, it also covered all outstanding revolving credit or unpaid credit card balances. Most people don't know that when you make a charge and you go to a restaurant and eat, or you go to the grocery store and buy something on your credit card, when you sign that credit card, you're expanding the currency supply of the planet. The bank doesn't loan you anything. They create a book entry, and you have just created the currency that you created the currency and you spent it, but you allowed the bank to charge you interest on it as though it was theirs. All they did was make a book entry for you. That's a pretty good scam too. The important thing here is that when you're eating at a restaurant or shopping at a grocery store or buying clothes or whatever, when you pay with a credit card, those dollars that you created go into a checking account exactly the same as if you had paid with paper dollars. And they circulate until somebody saves them up and pays down credit card debt. So in my book, I argue that you have to include outstanding revolving credit as part of base money for this particular measurement that I'm doing, which is how gold how it revalues itself. The will of the public and the free markets revalue gold to account for the currency supply. And again, in 1980, there was about 3 months where it covered all outstanding revolving credit and base money, both. And there was a year where we could have gone back on the gold standard. Well, at the end of my book, I have the same graph, and I show the expansion of the currency supply that has happened since. Now, this process, or something very close to it, has been going on since the year 407 BC with the first great inflation in Athens. And it happened several times in Rome. There were a couple of hyperinflations during the French Revolution, but it happens over and over and over again on this planet. And it's not like clockwork, but it's highly reliable. When a government abuses its currency system, gold will do this. And at the end of the book, I show it would take $7,300 an ounce for history to repeat and for it to do the same thing that it has done hundreds and hundreds of times throughout history. However, the currency supply base money is just exploding. Outstanding revolving credit topped $1 trillion for the first time this year. And so for history to repeat today and for gold to cover that portion of the currency supply that it covered in 1980, 1934, 1923 in Weimar Germany, and like I said, hundreds of times throughout history, it now requires about a $15,000 per ounce price if the U.S. stops all the ridiculous deficit spending and currency creation that they're doing, if they stop that today. And they're not going to. Is there ever any example in history of a government being able to print or borrow its way to prosperity?
Only temporarily. And I would say that we're in that stage right now. We're temporarily very wealthy because there's still this trust in the dollar. And I would say 30 years, since it's just pure fiat money, since 71, 30-some years now, that we have, on the short run, benefited by this. But long term, no, I don't think there's any example. The longer it goes, and the more pervasive it is, the more likely it is you're going to end up with runaway inflation.
You know, one of the things I say is, all frauds typically end rather suddenly and rather swiftly. And this is why I think in the past we've seen such parabolic curves upwards in the gold price at times, or even just very quick revaluations at times, because in all currencies, because they're currencies when they start to die and people lose confidence in the fraud, people aren't going to gold and silver in mass hysteria it's a sudden when it happens, it is a sudden realization of rationality that is hitting the marketplace, and it's harder to stop rational thought than anything else. It's not people going crazy for gold and silver, it's them waking up out of their delusions of paper money. Mm-hmm. And just like Enron was a fraud and collapsed suddenly, so too will our dollar.
Gold and silver do an accounting periodically throughout history. It's really exciting to see this. They automatically revalue themselves when the public wakes up, and they catch up.